Alrighty, lumberjacks, welcome back to another episode of FDR Logging, because that is who I am, and that is what we're doing. You guys want to talk about funny intros? Okay, so you guys know my old, sorry, I'm just trying to clean my glasses here. My old FDR Logging, Logging from Scratch series, it was... Every intro started with, alrighty, lumberjacks, welcome back to another episode of Logging from Scratch. Okay, well, one time I was editing a bunch of videos, and I opened up, like, a whole pile of those tabs because I was just editing a whole bunch of, like, multiple things that I was changing on them, and I forgot to turn the audio off. So I had, like, it was more than 5. Must have been 10 instances of me going, alrighty, lumberjacks. And I was just like, I had to like throw my headphones off. I was like, that's too much. That was just way too much even for me. Anyway, I thought it was funny. Every time I make an intro video, I just think of that now. Every time I start one of these episodes, it doesn't matter what I'm recording, I always go, alrighty, lumberjacks. And then I'm like, oh man, I remember that time. Anyway, I just thought I'd share it with y'all because it was really funny. But yeah, wild times. So last time we were playing, we were just mowing up these processor piles. I think I'm just going to keep doing this until these are all gone. Clean these up, and then I'm going to drag that... Oh, with the wood coming to us here. I'm going to drag that that loader over here, and we will sort this out a little bit. I'm just going to deck the shorts together a little bit better than they are now, because they're kind of all over the place in little piles. So if I can kind of bring them together in one deck, it makes it a little bit easier. Even for loading, if I'm just loading that forwarder, it'll just make life a little bit easier. And then I think I'll just keep banging them down to the landing there. It's probably the best call. Like I said, we could start another landing, like a little further up. But we'll see here. We'll see what the ground looks like. I just don't want to be loading a truck on too much of an angle, and the roadside angle isn't too bad down there. It's a little bit rough, but not cray. I didn't have a subject today. I had an interesting topic though, just for fun. It actually has nothing to do with what we're doing here, but my coworker and I were talking about it, and I thought, man, that's actually a good subject. The subject was discipline. The necessities of discipline, whether it be in a workplace or your everyday life or just anywhere. So we were talking about like how stubborn we were as kids. I mean, well, think about it. You know, everybody listening to this video right now, raise your right hand if you were a stubborn child or a stubborn person in general, or consider yourself one. I bet you a lot of you put your hand up. Maybe some of you didn't because you're too stubborn to admit it, but I bet you a lot of us are. So like, there's a difference between like stubbornness. How would I put this? I guess like there's effective levels of stubbornness, right? Like to be stubborn to the point where you stick to your values, I think is a good thing. Like to a degree, right? So if what's a good analogy? Say you really like a specific type of cheese. I'm just really throwing this one out of left wing here. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but say you really like a specific type of cheese and everyone tells you that cheese sucks. Well, every review on Earth, everyone on Earth says it sucks, except for you. And then maybe after a while you don't really like it anymore, but you stick to, you know, being loyal to that cheese because at one point you did love it. Maybe this is a crazy analogy, but that would be like my definition of like not really aggressive stubbornness. Like, you could say, oh, you know, I really like the brand, even though you hate it. And everyone's like, oh, you're so stubborn. You should realize that it's a crap brand and move on with your life, but you're not. So, like, you know, there's a certain level of, like, a loyalty stubborn, like you're loyal to your values, if that makes sense. So, like, something that you really believe in, I guess. You know, like whether it's a brand or a product or a person or a thing. So even if the whole world is telling you that something is crap, you still believing in it could be considered stubborn, but I don't consider that to be a negative stubbornness. I consider that to be sort of a loyal, like a loyalty stubbornness, value stubbornness, I suppose. So sorry, these are weird definitions, but this is kind of like what we were talking about today. And I thought, man, what a weird, interesting subject. So if you're stubborn to the point of just like causing harm to others. So if you like something and your stubbornness is just, oh, I'm going to like it till the day I die, even if it becomes crap, that stubbornness really isn't particularly harming anyone, right? That's just your thing, whatever. Stubbornness that I find ineffective is when you are stubborn to the point where you're actually affecting other people. Like, say a rule changed at your workplace, or a rule changed in your house or something, and everyone else is doing it and it's working out great, but you don't want to do it because you don't like it and it doesn't fit with your whatever reason that you don't like to do it. Well, now your stubbornness is actually causing others problems because you're being stubborn to the point where it's just you not doing something that's working effectively for others. So I find that to be ineffective stubbornness. You're doing it for you alone and it's harming others, as opposed to you doing it for you because you like it and it's not hurting anybody, right? You could say that about a lot of beliefs. You could say that about a lot of brands, objects, things, whatever you want to define that to, right? But for the most part, I think that the subject kind of detered to, we were defining versions of stubbornness. So if the stubbornness is not hurting anyone, whatever, right? But if it is hurting someone, that's when levels of discipline need to be brought in to control stubborn behaviors. Now, I might be going a little out to lunch for some people here, but hopefully not everybody. So for me, I actually kind of thrive on a well-disciplined environment. In terms of, we're doing this for a common goal, for a common reason, for a common purpose, to help everyone. Yeah, maybe not everyone's going to like it, but the reason we're doing it collectively is because it's going to help everyone in the long run, even if some people might not like it. That is a level of discipline that I thrive well under. It's almost like keeping everyone equal, right? Keep everyone equal. We all follow the same rule, and the reason we do it is because it makes us more effective as a team. That's good. That's good stubbornness and good discipline to act upon people who are being stubborn against that. Because if you have one person that's like, no, I'm not gonna, like, pretend you're in a house with roommates and you're like, one guy isn't washing dishes and he's like, no, I don't do dishes. Dishes are stupid. I'm not part of it. Okay, well, we've created a program where we all spin a wheel and whoever it lands on, that's the person that does the dishes. Or we have a schedule now. You do dishes on Tuesdays. That's part of the deal living here. Nobody wants to do the dishes, but it's part of the deal to make it fair for everyone so that it's not always one-sided. Well, if that stubborn roommate is like, nope, well, it's not going to be me. Screw you. I'm not doing it. That's when there needs to be a level of discipline to put that roommate in check, or that coworker, or that person in your house, or that boss, or that whatever. There has to be a level of disciplinary control, because that discipline makes it fair for everyone else. If everyone just went, oh, well, I guess he just doesn't have to do it and he reaps the benefits and we all just have to suck it, that's not fair to the group, and that's not fair to anyone that's part of whatever it is that you're doing. So that is where I think discipline really comes into play and is needed to create equality in certain environments. I mean, this is the definition of why discipline exists, I'm sure. So, I'm not reinventing the wheel here by telling you guys this. But I think it's really important for places to have that, whether it be homes, whether it be schools, whether it be, jobs or whatever. But it's important to have it. And it's also good because it really does weed out the people that will not be beneficial to your team. It won't be helpful if, half your roommates all hate this one guy and hate the people that allow him to get away with not washing the dishes, and it just creates a toxic environment for everybody. That's not fair, right? So by disciplining and saying, okay, well, listen, if you're not going to do dishes, then, we're just going to have to kick you out. If you're not going to follow the rules of our group, then you're not part of our group anymore. So then that person now has the option, and that would be the form of discipline, right? The discipline is, hey, either you do this or you're not part of this group and you move out and you have to find a new group that follows your we don't do dishes policy, right? So that is the discipline, by giving him consequences for not following the team's goal, right? Discipline is basically an ultimatum of making people do stuff. And I think it's very necessary. I've spoken to lots of different people that think discipline, especially like in school systems, like if you go back to like old school systems, like I remember listening to my parents and my grandparents talk about like teachers beating them with belts and just how crazy it was. But at the same time, that was their way to control people. Like, and control, I use really, really lightly here, but it was their way to discipline bad behaviors. It was their way to fix stuff. And I mean, things have changed quite drastically over the years since those existed. But there are certain disciplines, and I'm not saying those were good disciplines, but there are certain disciplines that are necessary to keep, certain parts of order in group dynamics. I think it's important. So when I hear people say, "Oh yeah, no, nobody wants to be told what to do. You can't tell me what to do. This is my right to do whatever I want to do." Well, sometimes they're correct, and sometimes they're just being stubborn. So that's kind of the definition, right? And I am a prime example of that. So I'm not pretending. I'm not a hypocrite here at all. I am one of the most, well, I'm better now, but growing up, I was the most stubborn person you've ever met in your life. I was right and you were wrong, and there was nothing you could do about it, and that's just life. That was a lot of my attitude with lots of things when it came to politics and life and whatever. And I don't know when it switched. I think I just realized that, I don't know. I still don't know what the answer to that is, but maybe life is just too short to give a shit about some of that stuff. Just let it go, some of it. I think that's part of getting older, too. You just start to really pick your battles. But, yeah, I read lots of stuff on the internet, and I hear stuff from friends and family, and I just go like, man, like you gotta have some level of discipline, right? There has to be some consequences for action. Like, if there isn't, then like, man, this is gonna be like, it's crazy. Everyone's just it's gonna be the Wild West, right? It's like, I mean, if you want to take it to an extreme level, it's like, well, if you go out and murder someone, everybody's like, oh, that's not so bad, I guess. Maybe you shouldn't murder people, but it's okay. Well, now people are gonna catch on that it's like, oh, that guy just murdered somebody, and look, he didn't even get in trouble. So I have this person I don't like. I'm gonna go murder them now, and I'm gonna go murder them now, and and it's just like, there has to be extreme consequences and disciplines and actions to stuff to make it worthwhile. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when I was growing up, there was a lot more fear of consequence than there is now. Maybe that's just an older person thing now. Now that I'm getting all old and stuff. Now that I'm ancient. But yeah, like, I remember being in school and being... This is such a conversation like my parents probably had with me like 15 years ago. When I was in school. But I do... I'm having that conversation now. Oh my god, I'm an old person now. It's true though. I have that thought about people now, and I'm like, man, when I was in school, like, I remember this one kid, I think his name was Chris, and like, we were all pretty respectful of the teachers because our teachers were kind of scary. Like, they were pretty like outspoken, and if you were being a dick in class, they leveled you out pretty good. They didn't like, there was no violence, so that was before my time. Like, our teachers didn't like get out the belt and whip your ass on the spot. But our teachers would yell, and our teachers would get very scary, like really loud, really angry, really aggressive. Stuff I bet they can't do now without getting fired from their jobs. But I remember this kid named Chris, and Chris was the class joker, so to speak, I guess. He was kind of a jokey kind of guy. But so he was kind of borderline, like, I don't know if he's ADHD, a little bit of all kinds of stuff going on. Like, he was really all over the map. Like, he was just acting crazy all the time. And I'm pretty sure he had some stuff going on with his parents. Anyway, long story. But he would like do these like crazy outbursts in class and just like act a fool, right? And this one lady that was one of our teachers, I'm not naming names or anything obviously, but she was just the sweetest, nicest lady, and she was just this beautiful girl. She was like she was younger, like a younger teacher. Like every guy in the class had the hots for her because she was just like absolute smoking beautiful girl, right? And just like the softest, kindest voice, and she was help you with your homework and just like, oh, like just your perfect like if you had like a Leave It to Beaver sitcom, this was just like that pleasant teacher, the Pleasantville teacher. Like she was just the best, right? And frickin' Chris would just be such a douchebag in class. And this was grade, oh god, I want to say grade 9 maybe. Like she'd be saying something and talking to the class, and he would just interrupt and say, that's what stupid said, or like just stupid shit like that, right? And even me as a kid, you know, some kids would laugh, they go, and then other kids were just like, shut up. And it was just kind of this weird dynamic. But one day, I don't know, he must have just caught her on the wrong guard or what, but she just lost it on him. And the most mom voice you've ever heard of aggression. And every single person in that room went absolutely dead silent, like a gunshot had gone off or something. But that level of like fear and anxiety that we all kind of like were living in from listening to this teacher just lose her friggin' mind, like that's kind of the fear of consequences. Like there was the fear of like, oh my god, I do not want this sweet, nice, beautiful teacher that we all love talking to me like that because I will literally die. Like, I can't do it. So, you know, talking about discipline, talking about consequences, talking about that kind of stuff, I don't feel there's a lot of that anymore. And again, maybe I'm talking like my father and his father before him about the younger generation. It's not even just younger generation. It's just everybody in general is... people in the public, people everywhere. Like it's not just, you know, schools. It's kind of all over the place, where people just say stupid stuff. So some of you know and some of you don't know, I've been a security person, security guard officer, whatever the hell you want to call it, a security person for about 15 years. I worked in security. I did about 13 years working as a bouncer in bars. So I've seen a lot of crazy stuff and dealt with a lot of crazy people, but I'm still doing security. I don't work in bars at the moment. Like I still do events and stuff like that, but my god, the amount of balls on some people, and not just young people, but like middle-aged kind of people nowadays. Like when I worked at the bar, and I mean, this is totally not allowed anymore. Like, you can't do this kind of stuff anymore without probably going to jail or getting fined. But, like, if somebody was being a complete asshat at the bar and they were talking back to you or just getting out in your face, you literally could just slap them. Like, literally. I've done it. Like, you just outwardly just whoosh, slap in the face. And that's, yes, assault. So you don't want to do that. That's not good. But in those instances where people are being so insanely insane, that was just the way to roll. It's what we did. You know, you just push a guy out the door or slap him or do whatever, right? And it's crazy to me now because you know what? Like, some of those guys would come in there and they'd think they were just the toughest guys in the world and act like such dickheads to all the staff until one of us went over and was like, hey, shut up. That's enough. We're not listening to this anymore. So you need to shut up or you can leave the building. And they go, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And then you did something about it. I mean, it's really, you probably wouldn't get away with doing a lot of that stuff today, but, you know, you'd give them a smack or push them out the door, drag them by their arms and legs kicking and screaming like a little girl. But you know what? The next time that person came into the bar, like, it's a small town, right? So, you know, guy's going to come back. Where the hell is he going to go? We don't have any other bars, so this is the one. By the time that guy came back, he was, you know, shaking your hand and saying, yes, sir, no, sir, coming into the door. Because he realized that, oh, I can't act like an immature little shithead because there's consequences to my actions. And those consequences are I got slapped in the face by Jordan because I was being a rude little piece of crap to him and the other staff at the bar. So yes, consequences. Although I don't want violence to be the first action that people choose. Some people, you can just say, hey, that's enough, you need to stop, and they go, oh, okay. But the amount of people nowadays that clearly have not been slapped yet by somebody and probably never will is absolutely astounding. And I know that kind of sounds like an older generation talk, so to speak, saying that, but I don't know, man. Like, you can't teach. I mean, you can teach good manners if you have good, parenting or whatever, but some of the people I deal with even now in security, I'm just like, holy, like, but they know that most cops, most security, most people of disciplinary command, as their position kind of entails, are too scared to resort to any kind of physical altercation because they're like, oh, I can sue that guy, I can have his license, I can but some people push you to that level, and they just, I wish they would bring back legal slapping of stupid people or something, because I have done it before, and I really have to hold it back sometimes from doing it further with some people that I have to deal with in the general public. And like I said, I don't like condone physical violence and think it's great. I absolutely prefer to just go, hey man, like, that's not appropriate, we can't do that here, and have them go, absolutely, I respect that, I won't do that anymore. But that's usually not the case. Usually now, if you tell somebody something, a rule, a command, something, you can't do this, you can't do that, they go, yeah, what are you gonna do about it? That I hear that so often. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? And now it's really hard to do anything about it, because it's like, well, if I slap you in the face right now, you're going to go run to the cops, press charges, and it'll turn into a whole thing. And even if all the cops agree with me and the judge agrees with me and says, yeah, you know what, that guy's a jerk, he deserved to be slapped. Well, unfortunately, their agreeing with me doesn't make a difference, because they go, well, unfortunately, we think he should have been slapped too, so we think that was great. But the law says you can't. So now, here's your fine, we're revoking your license, blah, 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 right? So the system itself punishes people for correcting people's negative action as well. As it reinforces the negative behavior in people, because there is no discipline. Yeah, well, if you slap me for being a rude asshole, well, you know what? I'm going to go to the cops, and you're going to do a year in prison. And they're probably right. You might do a year in prison for assault or something, or get some kind of horrible, punishment towards you for correcting their action, their attitude, for correcting them. I think that's crazy. So the world has changed, and not in particularly a better way. But there seems to be, like, there's got to be a point, well, I don't know what the point will be, but there should be a point at which we hit where it's like, okay, enough is enough. Like, people can't just go around being dickbags without consequences. Well, we still have wood down here, too. I forgot about these piles. So what I could do, actually, so this landing over here is kind of, like, this feels pretty flat. I could load a truck in here. Why don't we do that? I'll just park this forwarder right here, and we'll just leave it here. Locked. Boop. Locked and loaded. I also got to fix that winch. I see my winch spool line is missing. How's the back looking? I just noticed that when I was looking on the camera there. Yeah, see the back one has that spool inside it? But my front one is missing my spool. Also got something sticking out there. What's that? Oh, that's the winch line. Just ignore me. I'm just doing modding stuff in my head here. Yeah, so I got to fix that. Okay, so we have to load. Oh, we're done in this video. I won't have enough time in this one. But now we can start loading. We'll have time to load up whatever's left down here. I should also clean up all this bits and pieces one day, because that's going to start lagging us out. We'll clean this up, and then we're going to march up the block a bit, and we'll set up a loading spot from these piles. It's a little bit of an angle, but if I park like straight in line with the downhill, we should be just fine. And then I'll just keep forwarding that stuff that's kind of up on that bench there. Slowly bring it down. Yeah, then we'll just work our way up the hill here and Or we might work our way down the hill, too. We really don't know what we're doing. It's kind of a blast. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. So, ladies and gentlemen, consequences. Don't be a dick. That's basically my slogan of the world. Be kind to people. They will be kind back to you in most cases. But you're going to be a dick. Eventually, consequences will catch up to you, whether it be in a dark alleyway, pissing off the wrong person, or, you know, somebody firing you from a job or something. Just don't be a dick. That's my advice. All right. End of episode. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.